Welcome to the coming apocalypse. Evangelist and pastor Paul Begley will take you on a journey into the end times prophecy. He'll examine current world events and explain how they relate to the end times. For decades, Pastor Begley has provided people all over the world with an understanding of today's world events from a biblical perspective. Now here's your host, Pastor Paul Begley.
Welcome to the coming apocalypse. I'm Pastor Paul Begley. Have you ever wondered why we have such horrible tornadoes, volcanoes, hurricanes, straight line winds, the flooding, the craziness in the weather, the chaos? Well, today we're going to bring on an amateur astrologer who actually has studied the stars, and we'll look at the biblical reasoning behind it. This is a very interesting. Are you serious? I'll be right back in just a moment.
Every year we see records for hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires, volcanoes, and floods. Is Earth spiraling toward human extinction? Our Climate Chaos webinar examines all these alarming trends, why they're increasing, and what we can do about them. Plus, Paul Begley explains their end-time significance. Now you can have the entire Climate Chaos webinar on DVD so you can explore the facts in more detail. Go to paulbegleyprophecy.com to order Climate Chaos on DVD.
All right, folks, all right. We just did a webinar, and you can still get it and watch it online at my website called The Pole Shift, okay? Now, people are wondering what's causing these unbelievable, what they call atmospheric rivers, rain bombs, horrible tornadoes, hurricanes, the flooding that's going on, the earthquakes, all this chaos. Well, I interviewed a man by the name of Gill Broussard. He is an amateur astrologer, and he's really studied. He's extremely knowledgeable. And he begins to explain what's going to happen and why. And the Bible talks about the poles shifting, that the earth will reel and rock like a drunkard, that it'll turn upside down. It talks about these catastrophic, cataclysmic events, apocalyptic. And also we talk about the comets, the asteroids, the things that are going on in the stars, and how this planet, this strange, what Gill calls Planet 7X, you know, that right now scientists believe it could be Planet 9. I want you to hear the explanation, and we'll look at the biblical scriptures to help us understand. Something causes these things to happen in the Bible. Could this be it? So let's go right now to hear about the pole shift with Gill Broussard.
It's a compounding of things, but the main cause is this approaching planet, which I call Planet 7X or Planet X.
All right.
It has a strong magnetic field, and when two magnetic fields get close to each other, you have heat building up. Well, that's between the sun and this planet, and that in turn causes the sun to emit certain spectrums of actually a low-level microwave. Whenever I think it's burning, whenever it starts to burn helium, there's hydrogen and helium that it burns, but when it burns more of one of them, it makes a low-spectrum microwave. And that penetrates to our core. And all of our planets are warming up, not just Earth.
All right, folks, all right. Now, here's what we're going to do. The rest of this interview, we're going to take a look at the biblical events that's mentioned in the Bible. In Isaiah 24, a pole shift, the earth reeling and rocking like a drunkard. In the book of Revelation, how it talks about deep impacts and the sea turning blood red. What's causing all of these catastrophic, cataclysmic events? We'll talk about that asteroid Apophis, that on April the 13th, Friday the 13th, 2029, this thing, I mean, it's 3.5 football fields wide, is coming right toward the earth. What's going to happen? And is this how come these biblical apocalyptic events take place? Gill Broussard breaks this down for us scientifically as we match it up with biblical prophecy. It's an extraordinary event. And I think that when you hear his explanations and begin to understand, in other words, God's the greatest scientist of all. He is the grand designer. He is the intelligent design, if you will. I mean, I always joke around and say, do you believe in the Big Bang Theory, that there was an explosion that created the universe? My answer is sure, if you can tell me who pulled the trigger. And I think we know who did. His name is God the Father, okay? He created everything. And so everything does have a scientific explanation because God put nature in play, laws of nature. Anyway, I want to do this. I want to go to the interview. I think it's powerful. I think when we look at this, we talk about the wormwood. You've heard in the Bible that the water's going to turn poisonous, radiation, wormwood. He has an explanation for that. And this big planet he's talking about, he calls it Planet 7X. Some people call it Planet X. Some people call it Nibiru. I've heard all kinds of different, Planet number 9. You know, we've heard a lot of different terms, but they all are speaking to the same thing. Some type of powerful, huge planet that has a strong gravitational pull that creates the chaos of the apocalyptic events of the last days found in our Bible. Could we be approaching the end of days as this planet nears? Let's go right now to the interview with Gill Broussard, the pole shift. When it comes by, then the debris comes after it 150 days later, the big, huge debris field. Okay, and here's a great scripture also, Amos 8:9. It shall be in that day, declares the Lord, that I shall cause the sun to go down at noon, and I shall darken the earth on a day of brightness, or a clear day, I think it says. This is the 12-hour delay in the earth's rotation. That is correct. I got you. So what I'm saying is, you're saying there's two events of this pole shift. There's the initial passing by, and then there's the debris that follows. Okay?
Yes.
And I'm agreeing 100%, 1,000%. And then Apophis is this third. I mean, if you read Revelation chapter 8, it basically says that this is a separate event. It's not a pole shift. It's not going to turn the moon blood red. It's, you know, the water's going to turn red, and the water's going to get poisonous. So it's a separate event. Okay, here we go. Calculating wormwood. So tell us what you have here. Maybe that'll help clear it up for all of us.
We're looking for Revelation 8:7, right?
Right.
You want to read that on the chart there? Revelation 8:7.
Yes, let me read. So in Revelation chapter 8, verse 7, the first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth, and the third part of the trees were burned up, and all the green grass was burned up. And the second angel sounded, and there was a great mountain, burning with fire, was cast into the sea, and a third part of the sea became blood. And a third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died, and a third part of the ships were destroyed. And the third angel sounded, there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, and it fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of waters, and the name of the star is called Wormwood, and the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died of the waters because they were bitter.
All right.
Okay.
Now, grasping all that data right there,
Yep.
first you have a meteor shower of multiple hits.
Okay. Yep.
Then wormwood as a separate entity comes in and hits.
Yes.
And that's it's the same event, but you know, let's say it's an hour long.
Okay.
You know, but this is debris field, and within the debris field is one mountain-sized asteroid.
Yes.
That's hitting it. Now we can go back to some of the other scriptures, like Isaiah 24:19.
Okay. Yeah. I call that the Isaiah prophecy. And let's go back there and look at that, because it's going to cause the earth to reel and rock.
Yes.
Like a drunkard, right? So let me just look at it.
Yep.
Isaiah 24, what verse?
19 to 20.
19, okay, let me read it. Isaiah 24, verse 19, the earth is utterly broken down, The earth is clean dissolved. The earth is moved exceedingly. The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall remove like a cottage, and the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. And it shall come to pass in the same time when Gog shall come against the land of Israel, saith the Lord God, that my fury shall come up in my face. For in my jealousy and in the fire of my wrath have I spoken. Surely in that day there shall be a great shaking in the land of Israel, so that the fishes of the sea and the fowls of heaven and the beasts of the field and all the creeping things that creep on the earth and all the men that are upon the face of the earth shall shake at my presence, and the mountains shall be thrown down, the steep places shall fall, and every wall shall fall to the ground. That is a major event, right?
Yes. Another place that says every wall on earth is either cracked or crumbled.
Okay.
Okay, so we're looking at even smaller than the Gulf of Mexico, but along those size range. Okay, and so if you look at that other, with that impact drawing that I showed, this is the actual orbit that I'm drawing with a dotted line with red, and the Earth is crossing it.
Yeah.
And it has to hit us off center, okay, because Earth is spinning counterclockwise.
Yeah.
At about 1,000 miles per hour. Okay?
Yes. Yes.
So the impact is not alone in what's causing the walls globally to shatter.
Okay.
What it is it hits us off center, and that impact is going against Earth's spin.
Got it.
And it slows a portion of our speed down, not all of it. But like I said, like if we suddenly stop 30 to 40 miles an hour off of that 1,000 mile, if we suddenly drop by 40 miles an hour, you're looking at most of the walls globally cracking or collapsing.
Yes.
And anything close to this, remember, this impact is large enough to cause what's called a land wave.
Yes.
The land will go up and down like a wave. Homes, people are thrown in the air if you're close to this impact. That's why you don't want to be on this side of the globe.
So where do you have it? So where do you have it impacting? Where do you see it?
Again, it's going to be towards the western. It probably hit, according to my calcs, because Jerusalem is almost opposite. We're looking at it between Hawaii and California, somewhere in the ocean, right there. But remember, this impact is so big that if you're half a globe to it, you're probably going to be receiving a land wave. The Pacific Rim is going to be seeing a tidal wave, probably a mile high or more.
My Lord. Are you serious? Now, is this is Wormwood. This is the Wormwood.
This is Wormwood. This is the second event.
Yeah, I got you.
This event is greater than the first event.
I got it. And this is what we just read.
Earth wobbles like a drunkard.
Yeah.
Earth is pushed off of its orbit by 40 diameters of Earth. We're closer to the sun. And now our day has changed to Enoch's calendar, 364-day year. It will literally be a 364-day year.
Okay, now, Gill, we know what NASA says. Don't worry about it. Nothing big is coming for 100 years. But we know that Apophis is coming in 5 years. Is Apophis big enough to create this event?
No.
Okay, so if it's not, then there's something bigger coming that they're not telling us about. They see it, they see it, but they're not showing it to us. Am I right?
President Reagan was the first president that was introduced to the approaching planet. You can go back and watch his speech to NATO, where he talks about if we had a alien intruder coming in, that we'd all
unite. We'd all unite around. He says if there was an alien,
right.
Yes.
Right, but he used that word so the general public would think about little green men.
Right.
But that's not what he was. Alien body is another way of calling a a unknown planet that's intruding upon us. And so he gave it clear out. It was somewhat encryptive, but the people he was talking to knew exactly what he was talking.
Right.
So
when is this wormwood event? So this is not a pole shift now. This is a wormwood event, right?
Right. This is a wormwood.
So
which Earth will rock like a drunkard.
Like a drunkard.
Multiple times.
It's a big deal. A third of the world.
Diameters of Earth away.
Probably a third of the world could die in this event. This is a big deal, but it's not the pole shift. So this event happens before the last pole shift, and you're seeing that this pole shift is coming soon. So this.
Remember, there was a tilt on the first one.
Yeah, I know.
A tilt at 26-20, but this one, it's a rocking.
It's a rocking. Okay, I got you. A wobbling, a rocking.
Because of the impact.
Gotcha. It's got to be close then. This thing is actually close.
Well, remember, unless we have a sighting, I can't give an exact time because we're.
I understand.
That's why the Bible clearly tells us to be a watchman.
I know.
Okay.
Yep.
Therefore, he's not going to send a prophet declaring the day and the hour and the year.
No.
Because that would be going against prophecy when he said for you to watch.
That's right.
We're going to go through a major war coming up. It says 2 billion people will be dying either from the consequences of this war or war itself.
Yeah, and that's where
looking at economic collapse or not collapse.
That's
troubles.
That is the prophecy that God was giving me, and why I wrote the book Revelation 9:11. Apollyon comes out of the pit, and there's this major war. He causes the 6th trumpet war that kills 1/3 of the world. About 2.5 billion people will die.
Right.
And I dread that. I don't know what to do with it.
Oh yeah. So 2.5 billion would die from the consequences of either disease. We're going to have internet attack. We're going to have biological attack. We'll have probably a few nukes on certain cities. Won't be a full out nuclear war, but it'll be a controlled event. So there's a possibility that if there's, according to the timeline, that keep in mind that the planet always passes around Passover. According to the text, I can tell you that it's 3.5 days after Passover is when the planet arrives. Whatever year that it may be, because that time that Passover changes a little bit.
Right.
You don't know if it's going to be a warmer winter or a colder winter. That may delay it, or because you have to have enough grain for first fruit offering. So it may not be the way that you would calculate it. This is going to be following God's calendar anyway. So I know there's over 12, almost a dozen different calendars of Hebrew calendars.
Hebrew calendars, right.
It's going to mirror God's calendar. Whatever it happens to be, you better be ready for it. So prior to that, around 40 days earlier is when, just like Jonah in Nineveh gave the 40-day warning of the approach of the planet, the government will give a 40-day warning of the approach of this planet.
Okay.
At that time, we'll see the Antichrist. Islam needs that sign in the heaven of this planet coming, that it points to him. At the same time, we have our prophecy on the false Messiah. They intermingle. They are matching.
Right.
Okay.
Right. The Mahdi, Islamic Mahdi, is the Antichrist over here. I mean, they match. Yes.
Right.
What we got to do now, as you're saying, we have another pole shift coming, no question. And you've brought up a lot of other events and prophecies and things that are happening right now that are setting the stage. The stage is being set. We don't know the exact day and the hour for these events, but
it's what we observe.
It's why we're watching.
We're waiting for a second Exodus that's greater than the first, and there'll be a financial blessing involved with that Exodus. And they're heading back to Israel.
Wow. Well,
if you see that happening, that means the following Passover will probably be our planet coming. And in the wintertime, you'd have World War III happening, between I think it will happen between.
Well, let's talk about
Christmas and New York holiday.
Let's talk about the second Exodus. Because right now, anti-Semitism is, again, almost like it was in the days pre-World War II. We're watching the same thing again. It's in America, in Europe, it's global. So there's a possibility there will be another, as you say, the second Exodus, which is really the third Exodus, because we had the first Exodus, like getting out of Egypt. The second Exodus was after World War II that formed Israel as a nation in 1948, and you're saying there will be a third one, which will then follow with a great financial blessing. So,
Brian said that the Bible says that they'll talk more about this one than they did the
others. And you're right. And so right now, Israel is in the midst of a bloody war with Hamas. They got the rest of all the nations surrounding them with their guns pointed at them. They got the President of the United States withholding ammunition shipments to them. He talks out two sides of his mouth. He's for them today, he's against them tomorrow, or in the same days that we all know he's not sticking with them, right? And so we see all of this building up for the next Exodus. So we're going to keep. This is why I wanted to do this pole shift. I wanted this webinar because I know how important the pole shift is. You talk about Isaiah 24. You talk about these passages in Revelation we've done. You took us back in history for 4 events. We're now looking to the prophetic. And we are not done talking about this, Gill. You will be back soon. We're not done talking about this. All right, folks, all right. So, I mean, as you can see, Gill Broussard, very scientific, has studied this for his whole life. But what's interesting is the things that he has seen and the things we're already witnessing is in the Bible. Revelation chapter 8, let's go there, verse 6. And the 7 angels which had the 7 trumpets prepared themselves to sound. The first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth, and the third part of the trees was burned up, and all the green grass burned up. Some kind of raining down. And we're going through a galactical meteor belt right now, and it's going to get a little worse. So we're going to see this fire and brimstone falling. In verse 8 says, the second angel sounded, as it were a great mountain, burning with fire, was cast into the sea, and a third part of the sea became blood. And a third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died. And a third part of the ships were destroyed. So this has got to be a deep impact. Maybe it's an asteroid. Maybe when Apophis goes by on April 13, 2029, maybe Apophis won't hit us. They say it's going to skim past us. But it's going to have a lot of debris with it. And some of that may hit us. It could happen. And then we know there's a second impact. Read on. Verse 10. And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp. And it fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of waters. And the name of that star is called Wormwood. And the third part of the waters became wormwood. And many men died of the waters because they were made bitter. Wormwood meaning, Chernobyl really is what the word can also mean. But waters, wormwood, radiation, poisonous, bitter. The Bible's saying that, so that's got to be a second impact. First one hits the ocean, wipes out these ships and the marine life. Second one hits land and poisons the fresh water, the river water, the fountains or the aqueducts. This is in the Bible. This event is prophesied to happen, and it will happen. We don't know exactly when, but this is why we're watching this asteroid Apophis, which means the god of chaos. It's coming, and we'll be right back with more in just a moment.
Is our climate changing? Will hurricanes become supercanes? Are tornadoes increasing in intensity? Will we experience heat waves of 140 degrees or more? Explore these questions and more in Climate Crisis, the DVD from Paul Begley Prophecy Ministries. Experts explore all these critical topics and more. Climate Crisis, the DVD, available only at paulbegleyprophecy.com.
All right, folks, all right. And you know something else? When this is all going down in Revelation, check out what else happens. Look at verse 12. And the fourth angel sounded, the third part of the sun was smitten, the third part of the moon, the third part of the stars. So as the third part of them were darkened, and the day shone not for a third part of it, and the night likewise. There's some kind of block. Something comes by that literally blocks the sun for a little while, and the moon and the star. You can't see anything. What is that? And that's why when you're talking to Gill, Broussard and some of these other experts, they break this down for you. Matter of fact, if you get this webinar called The Pole Shift, you go to my website at paulbegleyprophecy.com, you can order this entire webinar and watch it right on your computer. You'll get a link and watch the whole thing, all the different 8 or 9 different speakers. And then the last thing it says, and I heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth, by reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the 3 angels, which are yet to sound. This isn't the end. Matter of fact, we're going to go into Revelation 9, and that's when Apollyon comes out of that bottomless pit, which is the book I wrote recently called Revelation 9:11. I'm really going to say this to you. If there was ever a time to go order 4 things, it's now. I'm just going to say it. For all you who don't know Jesus, who need to give your life to Christ, this will help you. For those of you who are studying prophecy, get the DVD Climate Crisis. Get the DVD Climate Chaos. Get the DVD Planet X, the effects of Planet X, and order this webinar right here, fresh, called The Pole Shift. You can watch that online. All of these things will help us all understand. But you know what's the most important thing? When is Jesus coming? I mean, all of this is leading us to the coming of Jesus Christ. The rapture could be any time. Are you saved? Are you ready? Again, folks, you find all of these great DVD products and resources at my website, paulbegleyprophecy.com, or call the phone number on the screen. That's paulbegleyprophecy.com. I'll see you next week on the coming apocalypse.
Planet X. What is it? Where is it? Does it really exist? And what does it mean for us here on planet Earth? Paul Begley Prophecy Ministries has assembled the leading subject experts for the effects of Planet X Summit. What does the Bible say? Should we fear the existence of such a celestial body? Effects of Planet X Summit. Get it at paulbegleyprophecy.com.